Unmute. I'm muted. Got Tommy Moore in here. Jim Barry. Got Scott. Cedric. Look at that handsome smile, Cedric. You guys can unmute yourself. You can go on video if you want. We can have some fun tonight. Looks like I'm jockeying the booth here, Scott, so I got to keep letting people in.
Yep. It's pulling up for me too.
Oh, so you can let him in?
Yep.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. Got him.
Got him. Anybody want to go on video tonight besides Scott and I? You guys camera shy?
And if anybody has questions also, feel free to put it in the chat. Open up the chat or hit the hand raise. We can call you out too.
Barry Smith. Hello, Barry Smith. Barry, where are you at, man? Anybody play golf today, or everybody in the cold weather?
I know.
Barry's out in Seattle.
Hey, Barry. Barry's out in Seattle. Is it cold there or just rainy?
Just rainy today.
Did you play or no?
Did not get to play today.
What kind of scores you hanging with?
Low 80s,
Okay, cool. What's your goal?
mid 70s,
So 80 to mid, so 5 strokes.
5 strokes.
What do you think's preventing you from dropping 5 strokes on your own?
A little bit of everything, but mostly not get my approach shots close enough.
Okay.
I don't 3-putt very often. I hit the ball in the fairway, but it's those 150 to 100-yard shots.
So ball striking, basically.
Yep.
Okay, cool. There we go. Jim, hello. iPad number. You guys can put in the chat box if there's anything specific they want training on tonight. Randy Sitz, what's up? My favorite Army Ranger.
How's it going, Dean?
What's up, dude? Your son's a world beater, huh?
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed. Hopefully he gets it. He's supposed to come home Monday. So
you guys don't know Randy's son is like a kick-ass Olympian. What is he, diving expert?
that I have one of those, but that's my it's called double mini gymnastics. That was my middle son, Weston, who's over in Azerbaijan right now.
That's so cool. Yep. Genes run the family, huh?
Yeah, my wife's side. Obviously, it's my wife's side. Yeah.
So we're going to cover quite a bit of stuff tonight, but I'm open if there's certain things that you guys are having a challenge with. I'll be glad to cover that specifically. So feel free to put that in the comment section. What we got? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 4 people tonight. Pretty cool. Lou is from the Windy City. Oh, that's got to be cold. Got to be cold. Chicago. Cook County, Illinois. Sweet Lou. Just going to hang out for a couple more minutes before we get started. Randy, since you're on here tonight, what do you want to cover tonight, bud?
So I'd like to cover more of the wedges. So I'm building a wedge matrix right now, or I've built a wedge matrix for half swing, 3/4, full swing.
Okay.
So
we'll cover that. Distance wedge is my favorite. So one of my coaches has this a distance wedge station, 30 yards, 40 yards, all the way up to 100. And Zach Johnson started doing that. Took him forever, and then finally, he got it dialed in. Francisco Molinari's brother, what's the other one? Eduardo set a record, like 32 swings, was able to hit all 7 stations from 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. And, it's about a 3 foot concrete slab out there in the middle of nowhere, and it's a pretty cool station, but we'll cover some distance wedges.
Cool.
So let's get started. So a lot of the things that we do in our training really starts with the smallest stroke, putting. And so what we do initially is we do a fitness evaluation of everyone to make sure that we can find out what limitations you have in your body. And then we customize something to make sure you get more stability and mobility. But as we grew, most of our students are, in their 40s, 50s, more in their 60s and 70s. And so we really focus on stretching from head to toe. There's a flexibility program from head to toe that we do. And within 30 days of doing that, and then you laser focus on putting, then it's likely that you're going to start to feel better and start to reap the rewards of the skill set training. But there's only 3 things you need to be a really, really, really good putter. And I said earlier that if you shoot a 94 from Dave Pell's statistics back in 92, 43% of all your strokes are putting. And so if you're shooting a 94, it's likely you have 41 putts. If you shoot an 85, it's likely you have 36 putts. And so what's the quickest way to drop strokes is learn how to read a green, learn how to hit your line, learn how to control your speed. So one thing that we're going to cover tonight is just really how to hit your line with putting. And so the face at impact has a 92% effect on direction, and the other 8% is path. And so a couple of training aids that I use, one is the putting arc. We only spend a little bit of time on this working on our path to make sure that we can drop strokes. So green, hitting your line and controlling your speed. So hitting your line has to do with the yardstick drill and the putting arc. And so for everybody on here, I highly encourage you to go out and get yourself a $2 aluminum yardstick, not a wooden yardstick, but a aluminum yardstick. And this is simply how you can drop 6 strokes in the middle of winter if you can't go outside and golf in the state you live in. And so the way that we approach this is you grab a yardstick and you do the training the same way you would do it on the golf course, so that we take the same skill set to the course. So for myself, I use a line on the ball. So every time I'm going to put the ball right in the yardstick like I was already ready to green, and I'm going to go through my routine. And so for our students, we require them to hit 15 in a row within the first 11 days. And so I'm going to take a practice stroke. Now that fell off to the right at 31 inches. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure that when we hit it, we hold it. That way we can bring it back and put it right here, and I can see that my face is open. So it gives me immediate feedback on how to correct my face and impact, because as I said, 92% of your putts that miss is because your face is not square at impact. And so on a 6-foot putt, a 1 degree open face, you're going to miss the putt. And so if you miss the putt on this yardstick, it's likely that it's open just a 1/2 degree. So a 1/2 degree is going to cause you to miss the putt. And so I'm going to hit and hold this time. Now that one fell off to the left. I can bring it back here, and I can see that my face is closed. And so this does immediate feedback to help you get good at hitting your line. And once you're able to do this 10 times in a row, then you set your next to 15. And as long as you get to 15 in a row, you're going to be a pretty good putter. So that fell off. And so we're getting immediate feedback. And so this is this is my routine on the golf course. I set the putter right behind the ball, take a few practice strokes, and then I step up to it. And now I'm developing a routine and a skill set. So there's one. And so now I have the skill set to hit one. Now it's going to take concentration to do it 10 times in a row. So for putting, hitting your line is the second most important. The most important is speed. Speed is the most important on all your swings. Speed control, distance control. And there's two. And so this is all you're going to need right here is an aluminum yardstick. Grab one of those, train hitting your line, then you can work on speed control. So the three things that you want to train when it comes to putting is reading the green, hitting your line, and controlling your speed. Barry Smith. Barry, you got a yardstick. Cool.
Hey,
So you
Dean,
guys, what's that?
Barry and I have been chatting back and forth. One of the things he's struggling with is his approach shot between 90 to 165 yards.
Okay, gotcha. Anybody have any questions on putting? Got a rowdy crowd tonight. Cool, cool.
And if anyone has questions or put it in the chat box if you want, I can help answering some questions or make sure Dean gets that information to kind of focus on. So yeah, whatever you guys need, Dean's going to go through some stuff, but we want to make sure that we're helping you guys out directly as well, what your specifics are.
Hey,
So
Dean, this
there-
is Cedric here. Oops, I'm sorry.
Yeah, hi Cedric. Go ahead, Cedric.
Hi. You mentioned reading greens, and that always sounds simple. And I think I'm one of the world's worst green readers. It's easy to do I shouldn't say it's easy, but it's easier to do the practicing on the yardstick and practicing the speed, but reading the greens has always been a challenge for me.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't have a green in here to walk around and demonstrate it. We do have that in our program. What challenge do you have reading a green? Kind of go more specific, and maybe I can walk you through it.
The breaks, and I've been told that you probably should look around the hole 3 feet from the hole or so and try to decide, but for me, it's a challenge.
Okay, well, let me ask you, do you ever walk around the green?
Yes.
How far?
360 degrees.
No, but like from 6 feet or 16
Yeah,
feet?
probably a little
60
bit
feet?
further than that. Probably about 20, 25 feet.
On every putt?
I'd say probably half of them, to be honest.
Okay. So the biggest thing that I see from even people that I play with is they never walk around the green. They might do like a half moon and they'll, if the hole's over here, they'll walk over here a little bit and then they'll walk over here, but they never even go past the flag. And so when it comes to green reading, without having a green here, what I'll just say is just if you're like this, it's going to break. So what you can do, Cedric, do you have an ability to play golf throughout the winter or no?
Yes. Yeah, I'm in Southern California, so I can play 365 days a year for the most part.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you a hack. So you can go tomorrow morning and grab like 10 balls, five balls in each hand, and just go pick a green, any green you want, and find a hole and stand 30 feet away from it. And then wherever you're at, let's say you're up here like this, just toss a ball from 30 feet away and watch it roll. And then go to the opposite side and do it in high, low, left, right, and just take 10 balls and just start walking the green from 30 feet from the hole and just start tossing balls. And it's like, you know what? That's what I thought it would do. Or you know what? I didn't read that much break. And then squat down and just look and just observe what's going on. And then from down here, just toss a ball like you're tossing a quarter and just toss a ball. I mean, if I did that, the ball would roll 30 feet. And so just start tossing balls from different holes, different undulations, different levels, and you'll start to get immediate feedback of what the greens are doing. And your brain is so fucking smart, it will start picking up on that.
Thank you.
Does that help at all?
It does. It does.
Okay. Because once you understand how, and then we can get into the grain and whether it's fast or slow, in the grain, with the grain, downhill, uphill. But when it comes to green reading, the quickest way, if you never even had the knowledge and information of how to read a green, is just take some balls and just think where it would circle down or curve down and just roll it on that line and see what it does. That's the quickest way to get feedback. And then you can start to, because green reading is just like painting. It's a skill, but it's also an art, meaning the more times you paint, the better you get. The more times you read a green, the better you get.
Hey, Dean.
Yeah.
Dean, I'm in your low 70s, actually Navy SEALs golf, where the students actually are in that group. I know that I can't remember the student you were coaching at the time, but you were talking about the green reading, because obviously the first part of your program goes deep into that, but you were telling him, and it was a tip that I used immediately, was that every time that I went out golfing, if I'm with a twosome or a foursome or whatever it may be, to walk the green, let everybody else shoot their ball first, so I can be actually picking their line, so I can actually be learning from somebody else and maximizing my time and ability to learn as well.
Yeah, okay. So Cedric, tomorrow, if you play golf on Monday, I don't know if you do, but the next time you play in California, if you're in a foursome, let's say that you're 6 feet and everyone else is far away. We'll go to the farthest ball in from wherever they are, walk around it. Let's say they're 42 feet away, walk 42 circumference all the way to the hole, and just read it. And you either stand below them or right behind them and watch what they did and see if you read it right. And you could start to sit there and say, you know what, he read that perfectly, but he missped it and he missed his line. Because there's only 3 things you need. If you read it really good, did you hit the line that you read? Oh, I hit that line perfectly, but I just didn't hit it hard enough. It's a foot short. So you can walk around all these people's balls and read their green, and you don't have to tell them you're doing anything. Just observe and read all their putts like you're a caddy, and then you're going to get feedback and see if they hit their line and see if they missped it or hit it right. That's what I do. That's what I do when I'm putting for myself. Did I misread it? Did I misspeed it? Or did I mishit it? Mean hitting the line. And the 18th hole tonight, I hit a perfect read, perfect line. I just missped it because the greens are overseeded right now, so they haven't cut it. And so those are some of the things you deal with is slow greens, super slow greens. I mean, I had a chance of playing some 13 stems, and those are great. What was the challenge Barry was having?
His approach shot from 90 yards to 165 yards.
Cool. So Barry, unmute yourself, Barry, and tell me specifically what's going on.
Sure. For me, inside 100 yards, 110 yards or so, I've got my wedge work done pretty well. That's going well. But outside of that, I am just not accurate enough to ensure myself 2-putt or 3-putt. I mean, 1-putt or 2-putt.
Okay. So you're 140 yards out. What club are you hitting?
140 out, usually 8-iron.
Okay. And are you hitting it long, short, left, or right?
If it's a bad miss, it'll be short right, but I try to make my misses long and left.
Okay. And so does that mean you fade the ball?
I'll go a few yards either direction. It's not consistent. It's not a consistent little draw or consistent little fade. It could go either way. I generally don't, from anything outside 100 yards, I generally don't go with the flag. I'll go center of the green and I'll play to the back of the green.
Okay. So do you start your ball right, left, center, or it's hit and miss and that's what's going on?
It'll usually start a little bit right. If I stuck a stake in the ground. It'd be just a little bit of right of that, and usually come back a little bit left, but not always.
Okay, so you're okay. You have a good start line. It starts right every single time.
Yes. Yeah, I have a good start line.
Okay. So we have a training called Educating the Hands, and so we have to look at what the hands do in the swing. And so you guys can do this with me. So the hands are either gonna cock and uncock. Okay, they can cock and uncock.
Right. Yep.
They can turn and they can roll.
Yep.
And they can bend and they can arch.
Okay.
And so you right-handed?
I am right-handed.
So when we look at the cocking motion, I'm going to cock here, and this bends the left wrist. And then when I come down, if you're really good at starting the ball to the right, what happens is your release motion, when you uncock, what happens is if it goes more to the right, your hand went from a turning motion to a rolling motion, but it rolled to an angled hinge versus a horizontal. So what happens, you're gonna have to train making sure that you get your hand back to square.
Okay, back to square. And if I'm a little short of it, it's going to stay out right.
Say that again?
So, yeah, get it back to square, because if I'm a little short of square, it's going to start right and stay right.
Right. And so a couple drills you can do is you can grab an impact bag and you can get and do it slow motion to start and come down and just right there. And now I can look here and I can bring the club up and I can take the hand off there. And if I put my hand up here, I can see that that is
That's square.
right. It's not vertical, it's not angled, it's horizontal. It's horizontal. So square, so I work on that. Because I see so many people get really good at getting the ball started out there, but when you look at their impact,
It's not square yet.
right. And so that's something you'll have to train. And what happens is sometimes you're like, well, you overdo it, and then all of a sudden now it's past, you overroll it, now that's closed down. So when it comes to educating the hands, you got to educate the cocking motion. And then what we do is if I turn this back, I can roll it through to square, just like that. That hand speed, I've trained it enough that where I'm not going to do that and let my forearm overtake. My elbow is leading, and I just fire right there to make sure that's square. And so really good impact is a flat left wrist and a bent right. If you look at the golfing machine, Homer Kelly, that's what he said, flat left wrist, bent right, here we are.
Yeah, yep. And I got pretty good there with my distance wedges and the beginning of my finesse wedges. I got pretty good with it, and I need to transition that to my longer clubs. And I think that'll make a big difference.
Yeah, and a couple things, you just make sure that you have a really solid backswing. And so a solid backswing meaning my takeaway is here. I have a vertical hinge, finish my turn. Now my hands have plenty of room to come from the inside to get the ball started right. You have a really, sounds like you have a really good skill at doing that. So the next piece is just the release pattern, the release pattern. And what I do is with a club, you see so many people on the tee box waiting for their turn, and they're doing this. Well, that just broke down here. What you want to do on the tee box is this.
Yep.
And what I just did is I went from a cock motion to a turn motion to a bent motion to a uncocking, rolled, arched.
And yep, gotcha.
And so for finesse wedges, the pitch shot, you do want this to break down like that. Same thing with the bunker. We want the club head to pass our hands. This is great for flop shots and pitch shots and bunker shots, but it's horrible for chipping, for distance wedges, and for full swings. We want to really work on educating the hands so that you can have the release pattern here.
Gotcha.
So I love the impact bag for several reasons. One is it helps develop speed control, but it also helps educate the hands of where they're going to be at impact. So if I get my posture here and I take a backswing to the top and I come down slowly and I get to here and I just fire, then I can look and I see people fire and their hands are like this. So this might be pointing up. I can fix it there, 1001, 1002, 1003, lift it above the impact bag, go to my finish, and train it like that. So I can do another rep. I just get right here to fire. And I can look, confirm it. And so those are the drills that we do to get really good at educating the hands. So then I can take and turn my body this way, bow, and then I do one-handed. And look how far my hands are, look where the club is.
That puts you in good position there.
Yeah, great position. And then that's how your distance wedges got so good, because you were doing that. You know, if you look at, say, a 70-yard shot, I can put this ball way back in my stance. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to fire. Notice my finish here. Club never passed my hands. Club never passed my hands.
Gotcha.
So that's the hardest part, is training. Most people are trying to dump the club head here. Well, look, the club just passed my hands, and I want to be here. You look at any great ball striker, this is where they're at. And so we get in the habit of doing this. Now the club is vertical. All the energy's been dumped from here to here, there, and then the club passed your hands. But what we want to do is we want to get our speed from right here, drive it into the ball's gone, and then just finish the rotation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bring on some more questions.
Johnny Miramontes, did you want to unmute yourself and chat with Dean real quick?
Okay. Hi, Dean.
Hi, Johnny.
Yeah, I was prowling the internet and I came across your teaching, and I go, man, this guy sounds like a golfing machine guy. And I heard you teach. I saw some of your videos and stuff like that, and sure enough, you are. That's what caught my eye with you.
Yeah,
When I was prowling the internet.
Well, it's a really challenging book to read. I don't know if you guys better open that thing, but you need an engineering degree just to read the book.
Yeah, I'm mostly starting to back from the 12-1 steps. Going through all the right foot, left foot, educated hands, vertical hinge, horizontal hinging, the planes, the dual planes. It's a challenge.
So what are your scores right now?
My scores right now, well, what happened was I was
Well, I'm gonna keep you brief. I'm gonna keep you brief because that's what I do. What are your scores right now?
I do like about 76 to 80.
Okay, what is your biggest challenge? Where do you need to
Oh,
drop?
right now,
from?
I think my biggest challenge is my putting.
Okay,
My putting is like sometimes, I know the line, I see the line, but I just don't hit it hard enough. I don't follow through with it.
okay. Do you hit the line? Did you see our yardstick drill?
No, I haven't seen the yardstick drill.
Okay, so after this is rendered, just watch the beginning 10 minutes of this. We covered the yardstick drill of how to hit your line, but let's talk about speed control because that's probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
So even indoors, we can look at speed control. My favorite drill is a 6-foot ladder drill where you go 6 feet, 12 feet, 18 feet, all the way to 42 feet at least. But what I would do is even indoors here is I know we can measure off how far it is, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 12 feet. It's 12 feet just to this net. So I can work on left hand, right hand. I can train my left arm and right arm. So I'm going to train my right arm. The way that I do it is I take 6 balls, 3 balls left hand, 3 balls right hand. And so the first thing I'm going to do is this is 12 feet. Is I'm going to work on my right hand only. And
Right.
What's that?
I said right.
Yeah. So if we look at, I'm going to talk about something that you mentioned, Johnny, the golf machine. There's called the magic of the right forearm. So if you look at the golf swing, how many times out of 1,000 times can I do this? 1 time.
All day-
I can do this
all day
1,000
long.
times or 1,000 times. So what's really going on is from the elbow, there's a fanning motion. And so for me, in my golf swing, and especially my putting, this is where I get a majority of my power in this fanning motion of the right elbow. And so one-handed only, I'm going to take this forearm and I'm going to stroke it 12. Boom. So that probably would have rolled, 17 inches past the hole, if that. So that's one. I'm just going to work on speed control with my right arm only. I'm going to hit it, I'm going to hold it. That was pretty darn good. It's a little bit faster. So all 3 of them went pretty good, 12 feet with my right arm. So I can train inside during the winter. So now with the left arm, since I've got a longer grip on there, it's going to be more of a slower stroke. So I've got to be aware of that. So this is a 2-part drill. So I've done left hand, right hand. Now I'm going to come back and I'm going to do both hands, but I'm going to alternate. Even though both hands are on the club, I want to lead the speed control with my left hand first. So this next putt, I'm going to lead and feel like most of the power is coming from my left side. And then now this next one, most of the power is going to come from the right side. And then I'm going to take the last 4 balls, and I want to make sure that I feel that there's equal participation, left hand, right hand. Now, since we're here demonstrating, my forearms are in line. You can't see my left, you can't see my right separately. They're in line, and they're in line with the shaft. And so my arms are bent. And so I have my club shaft in line with my forearms, and then I just slowly lower it down. And that's how I position my setup and my power, just like that. So speed control, what I would do, Johnny, is I would find indoors or outdoors, if you can get to a golf course and you can set up a 6-foot ladder drill, set it up 6 feet all the way to 42 feet, have 7 stations, and start with 6 feet, and you have to either make it to the hole or just a few feet past the hole, and then you go to 12 feet and 18, And let's say you get to 24 feet and you come up short, well, you have to start over. And after a while, if you get stuck, let's say you keep getting stuck at 24 feet, well, then from 24 feet, I would stand out there right hand only and just start banging balls and get it to roll 24 feet with my right hand only, and then take the other 3 balls left-handed and roll it 24 feet and go to 30 feet and 36 feet, left hand, right hand only. And that really maximizes and gets your speed control up to par quicker.
Okay. I got that.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me ask you another question. With your on the full golf swing,
Yep.
what do you think is the most important, beyond impact or coming into impact on a shallow plane?
I don't understand the question. What's most important before the
Yeah,
ball?
what do you think is the most important? Say like if I was to start somebody, say like my kid, and I wanted him to hit the ball, or practice beyond impact, like go through the swing, start at the ball, bend your knee, put your weight on your left foot, and then come up with your hip turn. You know what I mean? So you say like your right hip goes back in your backswing, right? And then you come into the ball. Then after the ball, do you teach that part of the ball, part of the swing too?
Well, the after the ball is going to be determined on your start line. So if you get the ball to start one direction, well, then we got to work on with the release pattern, what Barry and I just discussed. You got to work on impact, what your release pattern is, you know, what your hands are doing at impact. And then, yeah, well, as far as the finish, I mean, how many majors did Arnold Palmer win? He didn't have a really good finish. I mean, nothing really matters what happens after the ball's gone, unless you're stopping here. You're going to want to continue to swing. So I'm not really sure I understand the question.
Okay, so let me say this. So say when you're driving the car, you got to know where you're going.
Let's talk about you specifically. What do you need help with your swing?
Okay, so like I'm having problems with my left foot when I turn. Ben Hogan turned, then he shifts, and his weight went into his left foot, and then he snapped his leg back, or like Tiger snaps his leg back. I'm trying to get more weight into my knee and my balls of my foot, and then come out so I can have more ground forces.
Okay. I'm still not sure I understand the question.
Okay, so say like you come.
What I'll do is I'll just lead with this, right? So if you're having a hard time with your ground force and your feet dug in the ground, well, then what I would work on is number one is just right now I'm digging all the weight into the ground with the ball of my right foot.
Right.
My hamstring is fully engaged. My quad is fully engaged. My glute is fully engaged. I am engaged where I can do a karate punch, I can do a boxing move, or I can check a wide receiver off the line because I am super stable just in this side right here. So then from there, what I would do is I would do the first move, which is the shoulders pulling back a couple inches. And then from there, I would bring in my left arm. And then from there, I would start to do my hip turn and my shoulder turn. Now I have a full backswing. I'm fully engaged, ground force is activated.
Correct.
Now, since you talk Hogan, well, since I've already got to here, I've trained myself to have my tailbone go towards the target like this. That's an exaggeration, so you can see that. I'm trained to have that go back. Now all I have to do, since my weight is already ready to go onto that front foot, all I gotta do is start my hands at the ball.
Okay, the free ride.
Ain't nothing free.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, there ain't nothing free, but I know what you're saying. Hogan talking about the free ride.
Right,
No,
free
what
ride.
it is, there's nothing free. I built up all this resistance and I've actively directed my hands to the ball.
Right.
I'm actively. So again, I'm gonna do this drill because this is what I do, drills. I'm gonna train, I'm gonna load all my weight with the ball of my left foot. This whole side is fully engaged. I'm gonna start my backswing. I'm gonna bring in my left arm elevation,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna finish my shoulder turn.
Right. So see right there on your left leg, how you have it straight. Your
Yeah.
left leg is straight and all your weight is on the heel or on your toe.
It depends on what part of the swing.
It's right there at your follow through. Right there.
Well, my follow through is on the back of my heel, on the outside of the heel.
Okay.
But an impact is somewhere in between.
We're in between, yes.
Yeah. Because I'm directing the weight to the ball of my left foot here, and by the time I'm here, it's already on the outside.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Great question.
Can I ask one more question?
You sure can.
Okay, so how, you know how the pros can hit their 8-iron 175, 180? You know, they blast it out there. So my 8-iron is like 124. Okay, so I'm trying to get more shaft lean to de-loft my my head.
Cool. So I'm 52 years young, and I just hit my 8-iron 171 earlier. So
See, that's what I want to do.
when you say you wanted to chef, when you say you want to do this, you know, understand why you're wanting to do this, because if you do this and your hands stop, you're not going to get speed. So speed, you can just train speed. So how young are you, Johnny?
I'm 64.
Okay, so 64, and how tall are you?
I'm 5'9".
Okay, and any injuries that are preventing you?
No, not
Okay,
really.
so
I've overcome.
what I would do is I would get this impact bag and I would take and turn my body 45 degrees, bow, take my left arm right here, reverse the club around, and do this. Now you
Okay,
see there's shaft lean right there,
right,
but my body, nothing, this all stayed here. So this is the shaft lean you're looking for. What I'm
right.
doing is I'm speeding up from a cocking motion to an uncocking motion, from a turn motion to a roll motion, and from a bent motion to a arch motion.
Arch motion.
So what I'm doing is I'm taking these three motions of the wrist and the hand, and I'm just training it from here, wrist, arm, that's right arm. Same thing we talked about here. How many times, 1,000 times can I do this? Well, I can get some speed here. From right here, I get a lot of speed there because I've taken and done this 1,000 times. Bent wrist.
Okay,
So
If
at
you-
64, all I can do is this.
right, with the right knee.
With both hands, left hand, right hand, and then both hands. And then turn the club around. I mean, the greatest training aid in the planet is an impact pad.
Yes,
So now I can turn 45 degrees, bow, put both my hands here, like I'm coming from the inside right in the slot, and just fire.
are you doing that with the pitch basic stroke?
No, I'm doing what I just said. I'm taking a cocked wrist and I'm uncocking it. I'm taking a turned wrist and I'm rolling it. And I'm taking a bent wrist and I'm arching it.
Okay. And you keep your spine angle tilted or bowed all the way through the ball. Right there.
It's just $29.99 a month when you get 2 or more lines. $29.99. Yes, and you get everything. You get unlimited data, nationwide 5G, and all. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. And all this comes on a super secure connection. $29.99.
Scott, you mute that person? Hopefully that helped, Johnny.
That was Johnny's background. And Randy, I agree, Dean, that was good stuff. Dean, we have another question from Linford. Linford, do you want to unmute yourself? Had some questions kind of about club head and getting it released.
Yeah, so I actually go by Len. But Dean, one of the questions I had is that I don't understand if you're striking the ball with a bowed wrist, when and how does the club head get released?
Ooh, that's a great question. Can you see the ball in?
I can, yep.
Did the club head release, Lynn?
Yes.
What is it? So tell me how it released.
Well, I always get confused on whether it's a hand released or a body that releases the club head.
When you say release, this is what I just did. Where did the club head release to?
That's my question.
We didn't really release. I'm not sure that's a great terminology, release, right? I mean, I didn't make up the terminology. I mean, people use it, but so for example, did my wrist is flat, right?
Correct,
And my right wrist is bent, right?
correct.
And that ball went 50, 60 yards.
Correct.
So what is the challenge you're having with your club at impact? Let's break it down that way.
I guess I'm 66, so I'm sort of old school. And I always thought about the swing being, in your backswing, you make an L and you go, through the ball, you roll your wrist and you make an L on the other side. That was sort of the release of the club, that when you got through impact, the club would roll over and that was the release.
Okay. So I think the terminology over the years is got diluted. But if we go back to what we're talking about and how all great ball strikers who play on PGA Tour strike the ball, their hands are ahead of the ball, and the club head never passes the hands at impact. So from here, after the ball is gone, I've got to get my body rotating. And so something that might look weird is I can go ahead and do this, just like that. And what I'm doing is I'm rolling my hands up like that. And what I'm doing is I'm manipulating so the club head doesn't pass my hands. I think this is what you're talking about, release, where you see the club head release past the hands. And there's not been any major champions that let the club head pass or release the hands like this. There's not any golfers on tour that let the club head pass like this for ball striking. It's this.
Correct. I get it.
So if you're having a challenge and you end up doing this, well, what's happening is at impact, your club's getting vertical. It's getting vertical because the club head is passing your hands, and the only way that can happen anatomically is the left wrist has to bend. And so it's going from a bending motion to an uncocked motion back to a bending motion. And we want to go from a bending motion to an uncocked motion to a arched motion, or even just a flat. Even if it's just flat, it's still, the wrist is still flat. It's just since my hands are up here, it has to bend or arch. Sorry, it has to arch because the club shaft and head's still back here. So it has to arch.
Right.
So I would definitely get an impact bag and work on just cocking and uncocking. So if I cock and uncock and you do your old way like this, well, look what happens. The club head goes here. You're like, well, that's not right. So you can fix it.
Yep.
So want the hands to lead. And so what happens when you're crossing the river and you're going from this old pattern of this to this old pattern of this, what happens is the hands end up stopping, which then causes the club head to pass because there's so much momentum. So what you're gonna have to pay attention to when you're training and be aware of is make sure your hands continue to rotate. Your hands are continue driving. Your hands are still driving versus dumping the energy here and the club head passing.
Perfect
Most
sense.
people have been taught, well, I want to swing really fast from here to here, and you dump all your energy here. And what you want to do is get your timing. You know, the tour players have a 3-to-1 ratio. 3-to-1 ratio to impact. And so you want to work on getting your hands to fire and keep firing and rolling all the way through. As opposed to dumping the energy here. Well, the only place that club head can go, since it's so much acceleration, it has to pass your hands.
Right.
So you can work on little chip shots. You can work on this motion here, that motion there, into here. Now you see the club head's not passing the hands, right?
Correct.
And so I just continue to go like this. And this is that drill I was talking about, where I'm just exaggerating this, really exaggerating, rolling this over, just rolling it over, and then just letting it bend up. You want to get really good at ball striking, exaggerate this rollover here, and then if you start hooking it, then you just dial it back.
Makes perfect sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. Who's got some more questions? This is fun. Anybody
Jane just
here?
had a quick question, Dean, about a replay. If anybody does want a replay of this, shoot an email to dean@deanchitren.com, subject line replay, and we'll send out a replay for you. We will put out tidbits in the group as well, but not have the whole thing all available at once. So just shoot us an email and we'll get the full replay out for you for being here.
Great questions. Greg's on here, Lynn's on here. You guys got any questions? Anybody?
Hi, this is Ray Burgess. I'm from New Jersey.
Hi, Ray.
Can you go over, I understand your program as far as the 8 steps or 8 different things, but is it like you sign up for the whole thing or you sign up for 2 sessions, or like what's your structure on when you sign up? Like what are you signing up for?
Yeah, it's like signing up for the military, dude. You're not getting in unless you're all in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
But
I mean,
what is all in, or how much does it cost, and kind of, you know,
yeah, great
what are
question.
you
We're
looking-
going to cover that later, and if we have to, we'll get you on a call with Scott. But really, what we look at, and I'll kind of give you the bird's eye view, Ray. It's 12 weeks of training, and so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a fitness evaluation where we're going to take a look at from head to toe and find out any limitations you have in your body and customize something specifically to get you more stability, more mobility, but most importantly, flexibility at your age. And then immediately we dive into putting. We're going to spend 10 days specifically on learning how to read a green, learning how to hit your line, learn how to control your speed. You're going to drill it, you're going to train it, you're going to drill it, you're going to train it. And every week you and I are making sure you're doing it right and getting feedback. And then we're going to open up the finesse wedges, and we're going to teach you the right sequencing for the finesse wedges, how to use your body, your torso, your chest, your arms, your hands, your clubs, and make sure that you're doing it properly. You get So the science, it's called the science of transformation, where we're taking you and giving you knowledge, you train the knowledge, and we give you feedback. And then we get into bunkers for 10 days. And so within the first 30 days, what happens, Ray, it's likely you start to sleep better because you feel better, you're more flexible, and you drop 8-9 strokes. in
Yeah,
the first 30 days.
sorry, my Zoom dropped. So I heard you say you do a fitness test, and that's the last thing I heard. So sorry about that.
No worries, man. No worries. We're gonna have you speak with Scott after the call. But
Okay.
after the first 30 days, we dial in the short game and the fitness in the first 30 days to where you start to get more flexibility and mobility. You drop at least 7, 8, 9 strokes, depending on where you are, just by putting, finesse, wedge, and bunker. And then from immediately within the beginning of the second week, we're going to be going over some things that you can do indoors during the winter of how to build a full swing. And I kind of touched on that earlier, where I get my leg fully engaged in here. So I'm in really good golf posture. And so the first part of the swing is me just pulling this right shoulder back 2 inches super slow. That's the first part of the move. That's the first part of the swing, just me pulling the shoulder back a couple inches in great golf posture. Now, here's why this is critical for the entire 12 weeks, Ray.
Mhm.
By learning how to educate your hands, cock your left wrist, bend your right, and I just do that 2-inch shoulder turn. Now I'm in a perfect position for finesse wedge takeaway. And then from here, we teach you how to do the downswing to where you just get your energy forward. So everything works together, meaning you're going to learn how to build a full swing. In the second week, you're going to do part 1 and you're going to train it and drill it. I get to look at what you're doing right or wrong. And then you go to part 2 and you train it. And so within the first 30 days, now you've got a new motor pattern in your brain of how to build a perfect backswing based on what your body is capable of doing and how it's built and designed. Then we spend the second and third month working on ball striking, distance wedges, core strategy, pre-shot routine, post-shot routine, think box, play box, how to play golf versus play swing. And then after the 12 weeks, Ray, what we do is we do an after action report like we did in the military, is you're going to rate yourself on those 8 skills, and we're going to attack your weaknesses. And so if you started in December, that means December, January, February. By March 1st, you're going to be able to take March and April and dial in even better. And so not just in the next 3 months, but for the next 10, 20, 30 years, depending on how young you are, you've got the knowledge and information. And it's similar to, teach a man to fish or catch him a fish for the day. We're going to show you how to fish for life so that you can take these skill sets and learn how to employ them and be able to fix them on the go on the course.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I would connect with Scott and to get more information on that.
All right, Scott, I'll send you my private message on my number. If you could call, that'd be fine.
Sounds great, Ray. That's perfect. I'll do that. And
All right, thanks.
yeah, you're very welcome. And Dean, Lynn just had a question as well again. And actually it was a question I asked you when we were doing just live before the training about, me being in Minnesota, I can't train year round like you can on the golf course. And so can you go a little bit, help answer that question of somebody that might be in Maine, or like myself in Minnesota, we have people from Chicago on here. You have tons of students up in the East Coast and all that type of stuff, but also kind of that, to a little touch base on what Ray said too, kind of that lifetime training aspect, this developing the skill set too.
Yeah. So first of all, let's talk about the difference between training and practice. And I'll share just a story. I went from a one golfer, a one handicap, to a plus 3.3 in 6 months without any practice. I want that to register. I went from a 1 to a plus 3.3 in 6 months without any practice. So there's a huge difference between training something and practicing something. Like I can sit here and air practice the guitar. I don't know how to play the guitar. I've had no training. So when we talk about what you can do during the winter, just simple things that we've got it all broken down scientifically of how the brain works and how motor control skills work. But for example, one of my old patterns was to come inside. Once I'm inside, I was able to get up here, but I got up here pretty steep. And so just having little things like this, I can learn how to bring the club here, vertical hinge, and now I can come from the inside of this cone. Now you can see my club is not vertical. On a downswing, I get a lot of depth. Now I can come right in here and fire right out there. So as far as training in the winter, right now, Ray, you have, or Lynn, you have motor control patterns in your brain that you can never forget unless you have a brain injury. So what we have to do is we have to train a new pattern over your current pattern, and we have to do it in a manner that it sticks under pressure. And now those are a lot of the minute details that we cover in our training program to become peak performers on the course. So one of the ways that I would train to go from a 1 handicap to a +3 is the hand path. And so I would fight where I would start the ball here, I would start the ball here, I'd start the ball here, and then I'd have to make compensations, split second right impact. Oh shit, the ball's going left. I've got to do this and keep my hand, Barry, as you know, Barry, keep your hand more vertical to hold that off. So if the ball starts over here, oh shit, I've got to do so with my hand. And so this pattern stays there. And then if I hit a ball out to the right, and you start out to the right, oh no, it's way out there. And then you got to do something where you got to try and hook it right at impact. So I would start the ball left, right, center. And so now my number one objective is getting the ball to start out to the right. And so the way that I train it, one of the things I do is I get back to the top here, I come down here, and I fire my hands here, and I want the ball to start out that way. And so I drill it and drill it and drill it and drill it. There's drills we show you how to do that. One of them that you can simply do is you put your elbow here, you bend your left hand, you take a backswing, and you pull just like that. So now going from a steep here, if I was steep up here, and I drop this in here, that's how it gets that club laid off right in the slot, and now I can perfectly get the ball started out there. So I can simply get up to here, work on drills like that. So how do you train in the winter? Well, that's exactly how I designed this program 3 years ago, is most of the people that I knew were in the northern states. Boston, New Jersey, Detroit, Chicago, Indiana, Iowa. That's all we do is we have drills so that you can learn how to develop a motor control skill, but it all first starts with your body. We're going to find out, can you even do this in your golf swing? Do you have the ability to have external rotation in your golf swing? And then what happens if you're in golf posture? You might have a compensation here. Some people can't touch their toes, so they have some type of compensation. Some people might have lower back pains. We've got a protocol, a stretching protocol that within 6 weeks, depending on your age. When I did it, I was 40 something. Right now I'm 52. It took me about 6 weeks of stretching an hour a day, and now I have a range of motion like I did when I was in high school. Now I can take that flexibility. You don't need a lot of muscle to hit the ball far. You need flexibility, stability, and mobility, but then you need knowledge and information to make sure that you have the right sequencing, that you have the right power accumulators and pressure points. You know, we talked about power accumulator number 2 earlier, number 1. What about number 4, which is the left arm firing off the chest? this arm by itself is inert. If it just sits here, it just drop. So there's pressure between here, that pressure as I take it back, there's an angle between my shoulders in this arm. And as I bring this arm up, I shorten that angle. Now I've accumulated power. Now I can take my hip and take my lat muscle and fling my arm off my chest. There's power accumulator number 4. And so we're going to train you and give you the knowledge and information of how to actually move a club head. Because when you can control the club head, and you control the club face and control the club shaft, you can control the ball. And I can control the club head just with my right knuckle of my right hand. And I can demonstrate that. So this is pressure point number 3 and power accumulator number 3. Whereas I'm in my backswing, I can take, there's a lot of power right there. So I can sense this club head. I can sense the club head with the inside knuckle of my right hand. I can control the club face with my left hand. And for me, I control the club shaft with my right forearm. So when you control the club shaft, the club head, and the club face, you can control the ball. So I don't know if that answered any of your questions, but that's all I had to say on that.
And Dean, I know that we said we were going to go an hour, about 6 minutes over.
Cool. Alan, what questions you got, man?
Hi, Dean. I'm just learning, watching. I got a shoulder injury right now. I got some other things going on, so I'm not golfing at the moment. Hopefully the shoulder will get better slowly. Just finish up some physical therapy and it's better, but still a little bit of pain.
Okay. What kind of stretching protocol are you doing right now?
Got a routine of about, 12 exercises. I'm focusing on the last 4 for the last 2 weeks. And then she wants me starting next week to go back to the first ones and continue going through the series.
And how long are you holding the stretch?
Not really not holding any of the stretches. They're mostly movement.
Okay. So scientifically, if you want to get from a building phase to a maintenance phase, for example, if I put my arm up here and I put my arm behind there and I push my head back and I pull, you're going to want to hold this stretch for 2 minutes. And if you have shoulder issues, this would really benefit you by just holding this stretch for 2 minutes, but never go past a pain of 7 out of 10. And so what you want to try and do is get this arm to be not way down here, but just.
Yeah, I mean, like right now I can feel a tight muscle already.
Yeah, so what you
barely into it.
What you'd want to do is you want to hold that stretch for 2 minutes, set a timer for 2 minutes. And then after 2 minutes, then just slowly bring it down and let the blood flow for a minute and then repeat it. Or switch arms and you hold this stretch.
Okay.
So the problem with stretching is, nobody holds it for 2 minutes. You hold it for 2 minutes and you did 3 sets within a week, you're going to find out that your range of motion has gotten really, really good coming from where you're at.
Right.
For example,
I'm just sore from a Saturday workout where we did a lot of hip rotations and hip flexors.
Yeah, I get it. And the only problem is you're going to be sore the rest of your life because you're only getting older. And so
Right.
I'll give you an example. So this is when I first started this. I'm sitting here Indian style. When I first did this a couple years ago, my knees and my ankles hurt just sitting here. And this is as far as I can lean forward right here. I had terrible back pain, my knees hurt, my ankles hurt. Now after doing this, 3 sets, 2 minutes hold, 1 minute rest. Now, just range of motion 3 years later, I can hold this down here for an hour. I can sit like this for an hour. So the stretch is you hold the stretch. If you just sit, if everybody was to, that's not on camera, was to just sit down like this and cross their legs and see how far you can bend forward. And if this is as far as you can go and it starts to hurt here and you're at a pain of 7 out of 10, then just set a timer for 2 minutes and sit here. And then after the timer comes up, you slowly come out because you're gonna have some pain and you're just gonna lay back and lay down and let the blood flow to the joints for a full minute. And then you repeat that. And so we've got several of those stretches from head to toe that help you get more flexibility in your ankles, your knees, your hips, your lower back, your mid back, your shoulders, your arms, your triceps, your neck, all that stuff.
No, it sounds like really good stuff.
And Alan, one thing when you're thinking about stretching, and one of the things when Dean's working with a student going through there, and just so you know, my background for the past 20 years is health and wellness, rehab therapy. I work with Twin Cities Orthopedic here in Minnesota for pre and post rehab. But if we put you under general anesthesia, we can bend you like a pretzel. So it's not that your body can't move that way. Right now, you have to go through those movements and mobilities to let your nervous system know that it's okay to move that way without pain. And that's what Dean's talking about with holding that stuff, because that will get your body to actually learn to relax in that position. And it just takes time. And it's some of the mental focus and peak performance Dean coaches on too. It's how to go through that process and actually control that part of your body to do that, to start opening up and working properly. And it just takes time and practice.
Okay, well, thanks. I kind of remember some of this conversation when I talked to Dean a while ago when I first made contact with him.
Yeah, your body's the most important thing, just the body. I mean, if you can't walk, you can't play golf. If you can't move your arm, you can't swing a club. So that's why we make that the priority. And we do it over the 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So is there any Navy pilots on this program? Let's get them to unmute themselves.
Hello, Dean. Happy
Hey.
Thanksgiving.
Hey, bud.
How are you?
Good to see you here, man.
Thanks. Enjoying this.
It's so cool to have a Navy SEALs golf training program and actually have a Navy pilot in here.
In a prior life, I was a Navy guy, but yeah, it was a great life. Hey, I just real quick. One, your comments on stretching, I concur. To everybody who hasn't done the program, it absolutely works. And I have a timer and it goes on 2 minutes and 10 seconds to give me time to transition between them. So that works. Hey, can you talk confidence and mindset to the crowd?
Yeah, absolutely. Confidence is a byproduct of skill. And you know that flying jets all your life. You trained in a simulator, and then you went in and you did it. And so can you be more specific about what confidence areas you're talking about? Are you talking about the tee box, you're talking about putting, where overall? Give me a...
In general, you have taught me, okay, I'm a +1 golfer today, or I'm gonna, that is my mindset. And I find though at times when I don't do that, like on a round, it breaks down that confidence, so you kind of have to, keep going back to the basics of what you were saying about, okay, you are the best golfer, that can be, you are the best putter, at your club, you are the best ball striker, those kinds of things. How do you get back on track when you get off a track?
Yeah, great question. So what I do, and I try and do this for all the students, is if you're making a transition or you're in a training program, I just wouldn't keep fucking score. Like the only time I keep score is when I'm competing or playing for money. And so right now I'm doing a transition to where I'm really doubled down on this hand path and turn down release, making sure I get the ball to start out right. And so unless I'm playing you for money or I'm playing in a tournament, I'm not really keeping score per se. I'm just keeping track of where my round was and what I need to go work on. And then after that, I'm going to go work on it. So it just boils down to, hey, when you shot your 77 today and you felt you weren't as confident, where was it? And you're going to have to start giving yourself kudos. And what I mean by that is negative self-talk. I hear it all the time. Oh, you fucking idiot. Would you talk to your kid like that? Why would you talk to yourself like that? So you got to be cautious of the words you say, because words have meaning. And we were talking earlier to Johnny about distance control and putting. Did you read it right? Did you hit your line right? Did you speed it right? Did you do any of them right? Well, then celebrate that and just say, you know what? Of the 32 putts I had today, my speed control is off. Okay, write that down. Work on 6-foot ladder drill. All right, you're around the green, confidence-wise. How is your form? How is your technique? How is your breathing? If you start to find that you're not playing well, start to be aware of your breathing. Are you walking fast? Are you playing with a bunch of douchebags? Are you angry at your wife? Did you bring your personal problems to the golf course? Be aware of what your emotional state and your mental state is prior to getting the golf course. And if you realize that, hey, you know what, I shouldn't be playing golf today, well, then just go out there and rip it, just be glad you're outside. So confidence stems from so many things. We got our body, we got our mind, we got our emotions, we got our environment, and we got the people we're playing with, and then we got our skill set. And then just look at, how are you on the tee box? What do you think in the moment you pull in the parking lot? You're like, oh God, I'm playing with so-and-so. This could be a shitty round. Or you're out there just blessed and grateful that you woke up breathing. When you're on the tee box, have you, in your training, have you hit the ball right down the center of the fairway and piped it out there 250 yards? Yeah? Well then, why don't you talk kindly to that guy and see if he'll show up in the tee box for you that day? Because you're the toughest critic to yourself. And if you just start to be aware of how you speak to yourself, and you know you wouldn't talk to your mother like that or your kids like that, well, then maybe you should give yourself some grace. And so the way you get more confidence and the way you get more certainty is by giving yourself more grace to yourself. What else?
That's good. That's a good reminder. Thanks.
What
Dean.
else? What else on the confidence side? Because I want to go a little bit deeper. If you can kind of.
Well, you do the affirmations, the first or 2 times we talk to you, correct? And we kind of go through that and you help reword that. And, I know you and I once had a session where we redid that, and I went out and played that afternoon and probably shot my personal best, because, it was all a matter of mindset. Because I think if you do your program, you teach the skills that, I know I'm capable of doing that, but I just don't do it all the time.
All right, well then confidence, and then you want the fastest hack to confidence is have goals. Have goals of what you want in putting, have goals of what you want in finesse wedges, have goals of what you want in bunker, have goals of what you want in distance wedge, have goals you want in ball striking. Have goals of what you want in fitness, have goals of what you want in confidence and mindset, and just, hey, how did I show up with these goals today? And so I want everybody to write this down. This is the guaranteed success formula. We'll end the training with the guaranteed success formula. So guaranteed success formula, underline it. There's 4 steps. Number 1 is you focus on victory. So Greg, I think your victory is what, a 68?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So he's not focusing on a 75 or a 76 or a 74. He's focusing on victory, which is 68. So that's his goal. And you can use this success formula for everything. You can focus on your health, your wellness, your relationships, your career, anything you want. Whatever goal you have, you use this formula. So victory for Greg is a 68. Victory for me is a +7 handicap. Right now I'm a +4.3. I've got a little bit of work to do and I know exactly what I need to do. So step 2 is you don't fucking settle. I'm not settling for a +5 handicap. I'm just not going to do it. Greg's not going to settle for a 71 and say, all right, I broke par. That's not in his DNA. So you do not fucking settle is step 2. Step 3 is you meditate and you visualize and you focus. You visualize and you meditate and you see and feel the outcome. How's it going to feel shooting at 68? How's it going to feel? Yeah, you could just see his little smirk there. He's like, yeah, all right, you're right. You're right. I lost sight. I lost sight of my goal. I lost sight of the victory. The victory is 68. Well, why don't you focus on 68? There you go. That's where we need to put our energy. Let's put our energy, because you can't be happy and sad at the same time. You can't be hot and cold at the same time. That's polarity, law of polarity. So you visualize and you meditate and see yourself as a +1 golfer, winning the club championship. Those are the things you do. And then step 4, do the most important thing first. So what would be the most important thing first? So the most important thing for me first is just for the ball striking. So I have a ball striking goal. So just for ball striking, I'm going to make sure that this club never comes inside ever again. So I just do this. Now I have a camera right here. I can see this. I don't need any training aid other than to see that the club head is still in front of my chest. I can see that if I just turn my whole body, the club is still in front of my hands. It's not back here. So doing the most important thing first is just doing 3 minutes of this. Here, elevation, 1001, 1002, 1003. So I just fired that pattern. Here, here. And so I'll even put this right here so I can start my downswing. Now, what I want to make sure here is that you can see my left arm. You guys can see my left arm? Because the old pattern was right here. This is the new pattern I'm trying to work on right here. So doing the most important thing first is just doing these patterns here. And I'm in no rush. I want to develop this new motor pattern in my brain to have a perfect backswing and a perfect impact position. So the guaranteed success formula is you focus on victory, you never settle, you visualize, you meditate, you feel the feeling once you experience the success. When you experience the success, you know what it's going to feel like, so feel that now. Spend 15 minutes in the morning meditating, giving gratitude that you woke up breathing air today. And then do the most important thing first. Maybe the most important thing first is to go on vacation. Maybe it's to put down a golf club for 7 days. Maybe to recharge. So the guaranteed success formula can be applied to anything. It can be applied to all golf skills, putting, finesse wedge, bunker, distance wedge, full swing. It can be applied to fitness. So for me, I need to get in better cardiovascular and quicker hand speed. And so December, I'm going to take up boxing. Just crazy shit. So I'm going to use that boxing to go from 52 years young to 55 and use that to get in better shape for me. So I got the fitness component. So the victory is I'm going to take up boxing and get really good hand speed and better cardiovascular. And that's also going to help me with my footwork. It's also going to help me with my stamina. It's going to help me with my legs. And that way, when you're walking on the golf course, you're not going to get tired. And where do we need to be sharp? We need to control our energy. Energy. We got to be control over energy. Energy, vibration in your state of being. We all have energy, vibration in the state of being. You can have the state of being a +1 golfer, or you can have a state of being a 12 handicap and hacking the ball around. It's a choice. And so you all have a choice. You can commit to picking a goal, pick an audacious goal. We've got some people that we speak to on these admission calls that we invite them into our program. And we ask them, what if you could wake up from a dream, what would you really shoot? And they pick a number and they're afraid to dream big because they've been beaten down so many times in golf and they don't realize the reason why. And the number one reason is they haven't had any training. and training is the key. Greg, can you talk about the training component?
Yeah, I think it's outstanding. You know, Dean and I have talked about this before. It's, you know, people on this call love to play golf and you always want to play. But really, in the last couple of weeks, Dean, I'm pretty happy with myself that I train every day. You know, I do something. You know, as you said, 3 minutes, you know, just moving your shoulder back 2 inches to, you know, 3 minutes of backswing, you know, and then 3 minutes of the downswing, and then just reviewing all the tapes. I got a bag like you do, you know, and I do the hand path stuff, and I do that. You know, I haven't seen the results yet that I want, but that's just a matter of time of getting better. So yeah, you got to be focused on it, and I do believe it.
Gotcha. And you haven't seen the results you want, meaning you haven't shot a 68, but you've got some good success.
Correct. Inconsistent, you know, and but part of that is just believing that you can do it and doing it. You know, I mean, there'll be days in the 70s, and then I played today, and I think I was lucky if I was 90, you know, and just for different reasons. But you know, the training's great. So thanks.
Cool. Well, anybody have any questions before we let you loose? So I'm going to have Scott type in the box. If you guys want to have us review your golf swing and put together a really good plan over the next, you know, 12 weeks during the winter and show you how you can actually get in the best shape of your life, drop 10, 12, 15 strokes in the next 90 days, you know, just book a call. It's deanchitren.com/apply. And Greg, as I mentioned the other day, get on my calendar and let's tighten up some things.
We'll go. Thanks, Dean.
Yeah. Anybody have any other questions? I'll train for a few more minutes if you have something specific that you want me to cover.
Dave Elgart, you just made a comment. Do you want to unmute yourself and chat with Dean real quick?
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, David.
Hi, guys. I'm sorry I got in late on this. I just flew into town and I saw my email. You were doing this. I opened it up quickly, but then I had to run out with my wife and get dinner. Anyway, Dean, I just first of all, I loved what you said about stretching, and I am exactly where you were in the hip joint. My hip joints are so tight. But what caught my eye, because I've been downloading a lot of video of a lot of guys that I like the way they hit the ball, Tiger, Rory, etc. And when I saw what you said you were working on, particularly on your downswing after impact, you know, a lot of the guys, it seems to me that the swings that I've been looking at after impact, there's sort of a natural continuation of the rotation on the plane. And their hands may sort of not move as much, but it continues around. It seemed like you were sort of rerouting it a little more upright and almost going, I don't know how to describe it, but that particular move that you were working on seemed a little bit different than a lot of the pros that I've been watching their videos.
Are you talking on the backswing or downswing?
On the downswing after impact. And actually on the downswing, it seemed like you were definitely more upright and everybody's talking about laying off the club. I mean, Tiger doesn't seem to lay it off that much. He just seems to go back and follow through on the same plane, but Tiger's Tiger. Most of the other pros do lay it off a little bit coming down once they get to the top of their swing. And then I noticed you at impact, although your position coming down, it seemed like you were, it was unfortunately, I didn't see you talk about the whole swing right from the start, but I was a bit surprised on how maybe I didn't understand how you were coming through after impact, what you were trying to do. It seemed like you were trying to come more vertical.
Yeah, so it's a great question. So when we're training a motor control pattern, the more you exaggerate something, the quicker you get there. So whatever you're probably seeing from me is I'm trying to super exaggerate this, meaning my hand path so often would come over this way, where my hands would be this way, and the ball starts left. And so what I'm working on is from the top, my hands are going right at the ball here. And I want to make sure that my left arm, so basically if my hands are here, I'm putting my hands way up here as an exaggeration to get there quicker when I have a full swing versus here, my hands fire this way.
Okay,
So when we're training something, when I'm training something, I want to exaggerate it. So for example, when I do a hip rotation, you're going to notice how, see that exaggeration there?
yeah,
That's what I did to where it would look like this now in my swing.
okay,
I exaggerated this to make sure that I got here quicker. So we exaggerate this move. And if you look at Hogan, Hogan did this in his swing to where by the time he got to here, his tailbone had already reached the target. And so now all he had to do was, he said he just rotated his hips because he was already over there. His center mass was already over there. All he had to do was just fire his hips and drive the weight to the ball with his left foot and fire out.
when you're rotating your hips, though, it just seemed to me on your swing, your left hip on the follow through was moving a little bit to the left side. And I was always thinking that I should sort of be stable, rotating within a finite period. So as I'm coming through and the hip, I see Rory doing that drill with the ball behind his ass. So when he takes the club back, his right butt cheek is moving to the right of the ball. And then when he takes it through, the left butt cheek is moving there around. And I've heard it explained that not only as the left hip is moving left, you're moving up and that left leg is backing in straight, which allows your head to stay down so you're not coming out of the shot.
Yeah, so Rory's a great athlete, but Rory's not something you want to build your swing around. And why? Because think about it. Look how many times he hasn't won a major.
Yeah.
And so if you look at stability, Jack Nicklaus was really stable, meaning stable in his legs, where these guys now using all these ground forces and they're squatting up. Well,
Yeah.
More time to get here, you're going to have less stability. And so the more stability you have, if you're going to have a crane, you're going to have this crane way out here. This thing's not moving. This is the components that are moving.
Right. But
And
so you're basically rotating around an axis, your shoulders and your hips, correct? And at the finish of your swing, maybe you're moving, forward and up a little bit, but through impact, you're rotating around that axis, correct? Your left hip on the downswing is not going to move out of a certain zone.
Well, my left butt talks will go this way.
Right. But
So it did go back.
But it didn't move forward, right? Your whole body didn't move forward, right?
Well, let's watch if my body moves forward, right? So here I am. Now you're gonna see my hips slide. So yeah, they move forward.
Okay. But your head stays behind the ball.
Yeah, so I'll
Yeah, he's got the thing.
put this here. So your head's gonna move, but
Right there, it didn't move there.
what's that?
Your head seemed pretty stable there.
Well, sure, it's gonna be stable.
Yeah. Right. Okay, yeah, after impact, yeah.
But there's gonna be some hip slide.
Yeah. That makes sense. And it's really helpful to see because everybody talks about everything else except where the hands go after impact. It's very helpful to see your hands and the club shaft, the path of it after impact.
Yeah, so after impact, it's gonna go here, and then it's just gonna keep going here.
Yeah. That was helpful.
Cool. Well,
Thanks.
today's January, what is it? By January 28th, we got December, 8 weeks to January 28th, 8 weeks. Who doesn't believe they could drop 10 strokes in 8 weeks? Who doesn't believe they could do it? Who believes they can? Anybody?
Definitely.
Okay, what's holding you back?
Nothing. I dropped my handicap from 12 to 4 in the last 2 weeks,
Awesome.
and maybe a month. But it was all through looking at a lot of videos and doing a lot of practice drills at home.
Yeah, training.
Yeah.
Training. Good for you. Well, it's been a great night. We'll be open for questions. Anybody that wants to speak with us, if you want us to review your golf swing, just book a call. The link's right there, deanchitren.com/apply. Send a video of your golf swing, fill out our application. We'll put together a good plan, and we'll show you how that you can drop 10, 15 strokes during the winter and then come out firing in the spring if you're in the northern states. Cool?
All right. Thanks, Dean.
You're welcome. You guys have a great night, man.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you.